Hello, everybody. Welcome to my first live stream in a while. It's good to see everyone. I see Dennis P. is in the house. How's it going, Dennis P.? Rick Evans, Chad, Jay, Brendan. Brendan never misses a live stream. Johnny, I know I'm making you nervous with the shaking table, but Johnny, I'll tell you, the table's fine. I put some new screws in it, and if it falls, it will collapse on me. And I will make sure that the whiskeys do not get damaged. But you're right, this is a wobbly table. But who else do we have in the house today? Peter B's in the house. Doug Tempest. Doug, how's it going? Alan C. never misses a live stream. Mikey Likey. Good to see you, Mikey Likey. Looks we also got some Matthew here. Matthew Bellner. Been a while since we had him here, so it's good to see you all. Good to see everybody here. So a little bit about how tonight is going to go. I get a lot of packages in a given month. This past month, I've received probably about 280 samples or so. I think that's about how many we've logged that I've received. Now, some of those are for like competition. But I get a lot like this that you just see here. These are provided by the distilleries. It's important that you know that. You can see my disclosure statement inside my description. But it doesn't matter if someone provides you a whiskey. They know the rules. If I don't like it, I'm definitely going to say so. Now, a couple things here tonight. I will be observing the comment section, so if you have a question, just pop it on in there. I will also be tasting these like open. So this is an open tasting. I've already pre-poured them. This is not a blind tasting. Today is an open tasting, simply because I'm really backlogged and I need to get through these things, and bandwidth as it is, we really, really, really want to get through these. Also, to my members, I owe you a Phil Chiltered live stream. So after tonight's tasting, after this live stream, we are going to go straight to the community, and we're going to have a members-only live stream where I'll answer anything. If you are not a member, feel free to click that join button here you'll see it in the next to the subscribe button, which I hope you're a subscriber as well. You can click that join button and you can see what all the shenanigans are about. It looks like we got Vicious Victor T in the house. The enthusiastic whiskey hobbyist says hello from Chicago. They're drinking the 50-state rivalry, which that is in my tasting. So I will go ahead and go through everything that I'm tasting. You saw I've got two cameras here tonight. It's not as good as when Keith was running it. I'm running it tonight. But see, I'll pan over here, and when I'm actively tasting something, I'll put the one I'm tasting right there in the middle. So why don't I go ahead and go through everything that I am tasting. So the first one I'm going to taste tonight is this right here. This is Beartooth's collaboration with Middle West Spirits out of Columbus, Ohio. It is a rye whiskey, and I am really, really excited to review this one. I'm a big Beartooth fan, but also I think Middle West is doing some great stuff out there in Ohio. Speaking of Middle West, they're also working with the Company Distillery, which is a new distillery spearheaded by Jeff Arnett and a few other great Tennessee distillers like my old buddy Heath Clark, great gin maker. But they're taking a stab at doing like a parent company kind of style of a company versus just putting out a brand. So their company is called Company Distilling, and so they are working with Middle West to put this out. It is finished in it's a bourbon. It's a 3-year-old bourbon finished with maple wood. So that's going to be one we will be tasting. Also have the Michter's Cast Strength Rye. So the Michter's Cast Strength Rye is one I'll be tasting as well. That one is somewhat available, but not as available as you'd probably like to see. I'll be tasting this one too. It's called the Rivalry. Now, the Rivalry is basically it was going to be called Bears versus Packers, but he didn't have the trademark for that because he's basically trying to tell the story of Wisconsin and Illinois. A really cool collaboration. I'm excited to taste this, and I'll tell you more about the man behind this whiskey. He's very important for me personally in my career. Then we have Kentucky Owl Wiseman. Look, I'll be honest with you. There has not been a brand that has been striking out more with me than Kentucky Owl. So, let's hope that tonight is the night that, they get on the right side of my palate, for a change. But the last few releases from Kentucky Owl have been misses for me. Now let's go to, I'll show you the other one we're going to taste. This is Bardstown Bourbon Company Discovery Series 7. Look, the Bardstown Bourbon Company is doing some great blending. They're doing a lot of different series. The Discovery Series tends to be my favorite. And what I love about what they're doing, if you look there on the back, you can see nothing but information on the whiskey. So they disclose all that about the whiskey, and that is absolutely awesome. Now, for the headliner of the night, or at least I would assume the headliner of the night, the spring release of the Old Fitzgerald Bottled and Bond. So this just came out. I received it a couple weeks ago, and 17 years old, a wheated bourbon at 17 years old. Now, before you get all excited about that and think, woo, here we go, something distilled in 2004, bottled very recently, I will remind you that one of the reasons why wheated bourbons tend to be so good at older ages is because they tend to have lower barrel entry proofs. Heaven Hill goes into the barrel at 125 proof. So that tends to bring out a little bit more wood, a little bit more tannins. So if you know my palate, you know that I'm not a fan of over oak products. So I look at a Heaven Hill product that's north of 12 years old, and I start thinking, is that going to be over oaked? We're going to find out tonight. I'm going to save that one for last. Now, if you have a question while I am tasting, please feel free to put it in the chat. Tonight, I will be observing the chat, and I'm also going to be, trying to give you as much information as possible about these releases. And I'm going to go ahead and start. We are going to start with the one you see right there in the middle, the Middle West Straight Rye Whiskey coming out of Columbus, Ohio. Now, why this is like a really, really interesting product for me. I'm excited to taste this. The mash bill on this whiskey, listen to this, folks. Listen to this mash bill. 85% dark pumpernickel rye, okay? That's a cool note, or that's a cool particular type of rye. 10% two-dent corn, 2.5% soft red winter wheat, and 2.5% of two-row barley. Now, here is something very important to note. There is not a lot of two-row barley being malted around this country, and so they got some from Ohio. Very, very exciting to see what this is going to smell and taste like. It's called Barry's Batch, and if you look closely on the bottle, you will see let's go ahead and pull it up. I'll show it to you real closely. You will see a skull, like a devilish kind of person. So if you happen to buy this around children, I wouldn't recommend letting them hold the bottle. But you shouldn't be letting your children hold your whiskey bottles anyway. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into Barry's Batch. This is a 3-year-old rye. Woo! Just starts right off like some cherry. Really deep cherry. I also get a little bit of rhubarb in there. I don't get a lot of rhubarb in rye's, but this is very, very interesting. Like rhubarb and cherry right out of the bat. That's what I get. My God, for a 3-year-old rye, this is tasting like it's like 6 to 10 years old. It's got a lot of those like deep, really, really deep, sweet notes that you get from something that's been aging for a while. So it's a lot sweeter than you would typically find with a rye, but it comes in with a whole cadre of spices. It is lighting up the back of my palate where you find like all the spice notes, but it's this spiciness with a layer of sweetness, almost like a cotton candy. This is fantastic. This is like my second taste. I'm getting like a taste of a cinnamon roll, so that spice is pronouncing itself a lot deeper. Typically that spice is, it's in that back palate. You notice it's a spice, but when you go back in for that second taste and you're really trying to analyze it, kind of break it down, you kind of fall on the curve of, is it a baking spice or is it a pepper spice? Well, what we have here is we have a rye in Middle West's Berries Batch 1, a collaboration with Beartooth that is presenting baking spices, but there's also the sweet notes that are coming in underneath. So that's why I say like this is like a cinnamon roll. This is like a really heavy cinnamon roll. You get down in the deep center of it, and you're going to get a puff of cinnamon, and that's a really, really prominent note there. In terms of the finish, it actually finishes, pretty strong with a hint of vanilla. So like I was saying, like this is quite a bit sweeter than you would expect to normally find a rye, but that spice is right there. And, this is a fantastic release by Middle West. Kudos to you all for a great collaboration here with Beartooth. Well, that's a good way to start the tasting. Holy shit, that was good. That was really good. Man. So now, all right. Now this is one of the problems of doing everything by myself tonight. I got all these things moving up. My computer's going. So it might explode on me any minute, but at least I got whiskey. So there is that. I got that going for me. So I saw I had some questions come in. So Christopher Casca asked, says, with that said, does that mean you aren't super excited about the 17-year rye from Heaven Hill this year? Honestly, Christopher, pretty much nothing excites me. The only thing that excites me in my life really are my kids, like going to a soccer game, seeing the faces of my children when they get their Easter eggs on Sunday. Very, very. When it comes to whiskey, I look at this as like, oh, okay, here we go, 17-year-old wheated bourbon. All right, let's go. But I will say what does excite me is like, in the whiskey category, is when someone like Hard Truth, small distillery out of Indiana, or Starlight from Huber's, also in Indiana, or even this Middle West product from Ohio. I get really excited when I taste something and I love it and it's from a small distillery. I get really, really excited about that. I don't really get excited before I taste something. I don't want to get myself disappointed. I've disappointed myself a lot in my life. So I hope that helps answer your question there. Okay, Whiskey Nose asked the question, what picks do you have coming in the future? So for those, I do barrel picks. You can go to fredminnick.com and sign up for my newsletter to get information on those. But I basically, have I've developed a lot of relationships over 16 years of being in this business, and I kind of started, doing some barrel picks, and I'd done those in the past for charities, and I'd done them in the past for Bourbon and Beyond, but I'd never really done them and put my own name on them. And so I started doing that in the last few months. And upcoming, I have so I'm doing barrel picks for Bourbon Steak in Nashville. So if you find yourself in Nashville, go to Bourbon Steak. It's at the JW Marriott there, and ask for a Fred Minnick barrel pick. I would recommend the Huber's Double Oak. Also, I have a George Dickel 15-year-old. I have 3 15-year-old from George Dickel's about to be released on Sealbox. I have a Kilhoman Scotch that's going to be coming out. I have a few other things. I don't do the best of like keeping tabs of. I just kind of taste and go. Oh, I just did a Blue Note. I just picked a Blue Note, a juke joint, and I just picked a 10-year-old 4-gate. So I picked a 10-year-old 4-gate with a couple fellow tasters that you will be learning about very, very soon. So now I'm going to go to. I'm going to go ahead and move to the next product, which is going to be the Kentucky Al Wiseman. So, like I said before, Kentucky Al has not been a product that has really wowed me. Honestly, it's been since Dixon Dedman left the distillery, and it's not an insult at all to the people running it or anything like that. I don't mean that. It's not intended, but the releases have fallen flat for me, and I really do. I don't like it when I see that consistently in a brand, especially one that I think could be as strong as Kentucky Al was when it came out of the gate. So here we go with the Kentucky Al Wiseman. I believe that this one is, Kentucky Al Wiseman is. I think it's. Let me find the age statement on here. Yeah, I don't, there's not an age statement on here. Let me see if I have it in my notes. Yeah, good job, Fred. Way to be real prepared, huh? Yeah, well, 95% mash bill is all I have in my notes. So here we go to be, okay, so the Kentucky Al Wiseman, that nose is really musty. I mean, I'm talking about going into a basement. This smells like going into a basement that flooded and there's mildew and mold. Man. Jeez. Menthol on the palate. Very grainy. Like a very raw dough. It's doughy, grainy, mentholy, but it's not offensive. Like the nose, what I was smelling, I was afraid I was about to taste something that is offensive, but it doesn't taste offensive. It tastes like rawness. Like if you like some of those This tastes like an older rye, like not older as in like it's aged older, but it tastes like something that's been stored in the basement for a long time. An old rye that's been stored in the basement and got a dankness to it, and there's like a raw rye to it. But it's drinkable. I actually do think this is probably a step up from the last Wiseman I tasted. I really do. I'm not just saying that, but I did want to. So the next thing I'm going to taste is, let's see, what am I going to taste next here? I'm going to jump to the Michters. And everybody, I want you to I'm going to go grab something real quick. And I would love for you all to put into the chat what's your favorite rye right now. I'm going to go grab something real quick. All right, so we had someone came in the chat and reminded me something that I needed to do, which is very, very important. Daniel Hare popped in the chat, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this, but I'm doing, you all know about my Blind Bourbon series. Everyone who comes to Blind Bourbon gets a blindfold, and when you come to one of my events, I give you a blindfold. I don't want it back. I do not want the blindfold back. Look at all these people coming in talking about their favorite ryes: Rare Breed, New Riff, Wilderness Trail, more Rare Breed, Middle West. I mean, that's solid. Rittenhouse, a lot of great call-outs here for people's favorite ryes. But you get a. What I do is I go through sensory training with folks. Everyone gets a blindfold. You put it on. Smokin' Connie, my citrus partner for the Blind Bourbon series, he creates a special pack where you're going to smell some dehydrated citrus and a few other things, but you're not going to know what they are because you're going to be blindfolded, and you're going to be amazed, like the things that you can't smell when your sight is taken away. A lot of people can't smell a banana if they can't see it, and I train people how to taste like a professional. But we also blind taste a series of whiskeys, and we vote on them, and we crown a champion at the end of the night. But I'd love for you all to come. Go to fredminnick.com to check it out. I'm going to be in West Hollywood on May 10th, and in Green Bay on May 20th. So go check that out. Hey, look at that, everybody! Beartooth's in the house. Like Beartooth just popped on over here. They got a new album out, by the way. It's really great. So now I'm going to go to the Michter's Cask Strength Rye. Woo. This is really good. That nose is... It's kind of a confectionery nose. Definitely, there's like a honey butter that people put on rye rolls. It's got a lot of that. This might be the best Cask Strength Michter's rye I've had. Wow. The other thing about Michter's is they don't disclose their mash bill, But they used to do contract distilling with Brown-Forman. They don't disclose that. You can see that in my books. And those all almost the Kentucky style of rye is to have a lot of corn in it, and that traditionally comes from distillers having a difficult time in Kentucky fermenting rye, and the rye foams when you ferment it. It foams a lot, and they would go as far as putting in hog lard to absorb the foam, and it was not it was a pretty common practice well into the 1970s. But rye was not distilled a lot. And so when Heaven Hills Distillery burned down, Brown-Forman took on the distillation of rye for Heaven Hill, and they also did some contract distilling for some other people. And their mash bill is essentially barely rye, barely legal. So it's 51% rye, 52% rye, and a whole bunch of corn. Now, Chad in the chat says, I love Michter's barrel strength rye, have each released since 2015. And yes, Peter, this is a 2022 batch. Chris points out that it's also very, very sticky. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a distiller. But I'm not I know the history. I know how things are made, but to be fully transparent, I am not a distiller. I just know what the distillers tell me and what I've seen over the years. All right, so let's break this thing down. It's definitely an upgrade from what I just tasted in the Kentucky Owl. And I wouldn't mind doing a head-to-head against the Middle West here. I tasted that Middle West again, the Middle West berries batch. That's really impressive. I mean, they can go head-to-head. These two ryes, they can go head-to-head very strongly, but there's a difference here. The berries batch from Middle West is real sweet and layered in those baking spices, whereas the Michter's, it has some pepper spices, but then it comes through with some butterscotch. It comes through with some of those traditional bourbon notes. So I think if you are a fan of cinnamon rolls, your winner in a taste off here would be the berries batch from Middle West. But if you are more of a traditional bourbon drinker that you like to stick your foot into rye from time to time, I think the Michter's cask strength will be a winner for you. But they're both fantastic, and I would say that this is the best. This is the best Michter's rye release I've had in a while, and that's to include their 10-year rye. So, and that's often been quite exceptional. Daniel asked a question: is Middle West readily available? It is. I think they have one of those setups with one of those like online retailers. I think Keg and Bottle, where you can go and buy, and they'll ship to any state. But I don't know what their distribution is nationally, but they have one of those relationships with one of those retailers that ships everywhere. So I think you can get them, with the exception of Michigan. If you live in Michigan, you're screwed, because the people in all seriousness, if you are in Michigan, your state leaders absolutely hate you. They sue people who ship alcohol there. So it's real scary. Like, the retailers get sued and have indictments against them all the time. Real crazy. Okay, so now let's see. Now I'm going to go to the company Distillery. Company is like I was saying earlier, was started by the great Jeff Arnett. Jeff is the former master distiller for Jack Daniels. Now, he also started it with Heath Clark and a few other fellas that I'm like Chris Tatum and some other people really renowned in the industry, but their business partner basically it is a part of the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio. So they have a very good, financial backer, very interested in growing the whiskey category. And when they started this distillery, I had the opportunity to go to their press conference, meet all the brass of Tennessee. I'm a huge fan of Jeff Arnett. I'm a huge fan of Chris and Heath and everybody involved. I support them as friends. They are very good friends of mine. And anytime I taste whiskey from a friend, I get a little nervous because if I don't like it, it's tough, because sometimes that next conversation's a little awkward. But Jeff knows his whiskey. He knows his whiskey, and I have no doubt that this one will hit the mark for me. But let's find out here. Now, this is a 3-year-old bourbon that's finished with maple wood. So, smells very smoky. Like this really reminds. Oh, I got the wrong thing up there. Sorry about that. I had the wrong whiskey up there, folks. Sorry about that. Again, doing it by myself tonight. So I did ask for your forgiveness for when I made a mistake, but it wasn't too bad. But now this is this smells very smoky. It smells like hazelnut. I don't get the maple out of there, but not to say that you finish in maplewood, you're gonna smell maple syrup. But with Tennessee and you hear maple, you just think of Gatlinburg. And I don't know how you feel about Gatlinburg, but Gatlinburg is kind of creepy. Like, I mean, I imagine that's like where they test zombie apocalypse, scenarios. It's kind of creepy over there. And there's so many pancake houses. I mean, how can you have so many pancake houses? And it's also true story. Like the liquor stores there, it won't take American Express. Like I almost exclusively use American Express when I travel because I get good points. And the liquor stores there wouldn't take them because they said the American Express merchandiser or distributor, whatever the hell you call a person there for that, charge too much on alcohol for the use of a credit card. So there you go. Anyway. It's elegant. You're looking at something that's soft, it's elegant. There's some sweetness here, but the maple is not very pronounced. I get more like hazelnut, more of kind of like a latte from Starbucks, but I would say that, as a first release and the company Distillery, which there was a comment in here saying that it's definitely difficult to find them on the internet. Like any new company, no pun intended, it just takes time, I think. And they did choose a name based on not necessarily like a business entity, but more of the company you keep. Like if you hear if you hear Jeff Arnett tell the story as to why they chose this name, it was more about friendship and the company they keep and everything. And I remember meeting the people who came up with it, and I kind of pulled them aside, and I was like, "You came up with Company Distillery, huh?" I'm like, oh, okay. But when they explained it, it's like, it's the company you keep. And I'm like, you know what? I get that, and I dig it, because to me, like when I sip whiskey, I do it professionally for sure, but when I sip whiskey for fun, which is often, it's with some of my best friends, my wife, my cigar club, and occasionally someone I can't stand, and the whiskey helps me get through it. So, but that's that's it. So yeah, this is not a disappointing first release. It's soft. It's got some nice qualities to it. It reminds me of like a hazelnut latte from Starbucks. Which I don't go out of my way to buy something like that, but it's not something that if someone offers it to me and gives it to me, I'm not turning it down. It's good. And I'm looking forward to the future releases, but I think, I don't think this is the whiskey that, they're going to hang their hat on and what they're going, I think there's bigger things ahead here, but as a first release goes, this is definitely better than 95% of the first releases of a new company, hitting the stores. So, yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and you all get some questions in here. I'm going to cleanse my palate a little bit, give it some rest because the next three I have are all very different. And I need to get some a little break here on my palate and just kind of talk through some things. So, put any question you have in the chat. The next thing we're going to taste is going to be the malt, the whiskey coming from Illinois and Wisconsin. But that's coming up next. But get those questions in here. Vicious Victor T. I have a question for you. Are you going to do another benefit with Catoctin Creek? Yeah, there's a good possibility. I actually am going to be in that area next week for a private event. It's going to be a quick in and out. It's a town called Purcellville. So I'll be in Purcellville next week for a private gig. But yeah, I definitely will be doing more with Catoctin Creek. I'm big fans of them. And by the way, the best cake ever is sold there. I love the cake that is used to. I love the whiskey cake that's the guy makes for Catoctin Creek. It's so good. Swear to God, I ate the whole damn thing. Dave Sweet said you just had to go down the path of where Michter's was distilled. There's a long story behind that. Dave Sweet, that's a good segue into the next thing we're tasting. Dave is the former publisher, associate publisher. I don't remember what the hell his title was for Whiskey Magazine, and he was a big part of my career early on, and he gave the clearance, if you will, for me to go and write for Whiskey Magazine. And I may have written some things over the years that he had to defend me against some distilleries on. I won't say too much, but I will say without Dave Sweet in my world, I wouldn't be where I am today. And Also, he he's probably sweating right now, wondering what the hell am I going to say. Oh, so I'll just go to Junior Pancake here. Fred, could you elaborate on how the different barrel char levels impact the bourbon? Absolutely. There is the char, to put it simply, there's a sweet spot for charring, and they have found it to be 45 to 60 seconds, and most people fall on the 55-second side, char number 4. And the belief is there is a it draws it takes out a lot of the greenness, like a char will take out the greenness of the wood, and it'll also extract out sugars. And the likes of Independent Stave have done a really good job of studying, every single thing that they can do to pull out the best sugars, to pull out the best flavor profiles that they possibly can from the barrel. And the industry kind of fell on chars number 3 and chars number 4. And they're playing around with them a lot more. But Buffalo Trace did one. They did a char on the experimental line that was like 4 minutes long, and the barrel nearly fell apart. And when I tasted that whiskey, it was like licking a fence post. So I mean, I think if you char too little, you get greenness, and if you char too much, you get smoke. Too much smoke. Eric, my buddy Eric here, asked the question: can you expand on the new distillery laws of Kentucky? How big will barrel picks become? Will they trickle away from the distributors? That's in reference to House Bill 500, which I covered extensively both on this channel and on my blog at fredminnick.com and on social media. That was an exhausting thing to cover, because there was actual fear that people were going to lose their place in private barrels. By the way, I gotta address this. This is very important. Rise and Bison asks, how many fence posts have I licked? I will tell you, Rise and Bison, as someone who grew up putting fence posts in between the ages of 10 to 16 for every damn farmer in Oklahoma County, I feel like, and for the FFA ag teacher, I have licked my fair share of fence posts, both metal and wood, from people like forcing my face into it, to just like, seeing a fence post and saying, well, I'm going to lick that today. So I do have some experience licking fence posts. Anyone who's ever been in the farm life, you probably licked a lot of damn shit that you wish you didn't, but it's part of living in the farm life. And then someone always kicks your ass, and you end up licking something else because you got your ass kicked and they were shoved your head into a big pile of something. But then you end up kicking their ass and you shove their head into something. So that's just part of farm life. I do not miss those days. Anyway, so back to HB 500. So HB 500 is basically gave us a definition. There was not a definition for what private barrel picks were, and there was this fear that private barrel picks were going to go away because, like I was stating earlier, the state of Michigan and other states are kind of jerks when it comes to laws with the alcohol, and they had a big effort to clean up the books or clean up the code of what a private barrel pick was. There was no definition for it, so they defined it. It was an emergency act, which meant like as soon as it passed, it would go to the governor's desk to sign. But they also added on some other things in addition to the private barrel law, And one of them was that you can actually buy a barrel directly from a distillery. You can have distillery only products. And, there were some things put in place to circumvent bypassing the distributors. And I don't think that was ever intent from anybody. But at any rate, that I hope that, answers that question. In some ways, I could go on and on and on and on about it, of course. But go ahead and go to Christopher M. here. Hey, Fred, do you see everyday offerings like Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve and Wild Turkey 101 going the way of Buffalo Trace offerings as soon as they're available one day? Well, first of all, you have to take a look. I think you have to take a look at the parent companies of those two. Campari's had a lot of turnover lately, and they're a little bit in flux. And I think they're having trouble getting a lot of product into market. Wild Turkey demand is heavy. It's heavy with the core, and it is a company that doesn't have to do a lot to sell their whiskey. The problem Wild Turkey has is it's trying to erase like 20 years of bad marketing from their former parent company that was trying to market it as like the bad boy whiskey. You go and drink it when you're at a biker bar or something like that. So they're trying to erase that. So over the years, they've changed their packaging. They've changed their marketing slogans. They've done so many things to try and erase that. Now, the people under 40 years old don't know any of that, and they just know them as a premium. They know them as good whiskey. So I think that their Wild Turkey's offering is so good at a base, and they have so much liquid that they can play around with. I think Wild Turkey 101 is going to be fine. Rare Breed, and I know I had an impact on that with picking them in several blind tastings, but other people did as well. That I know Rare Breed is tougher to get. Russell's 10-year-old did very, very well with various tastings, and the voting we had here was number one public voted product. So I do think you might see some issues with some availability there, but you'll be able to find it. It's not going to be Rare Breed's never going to be like Stag Junior and Russell's Reserve 10-year-old's not going to be like Eagle Rare. I feel like you're always going to be able to find Russell's Reserve 10-year-old, at least in the next 5 years. How's that? That help? But anyway, I don't think Wild Turkey is going the way of Buffalo Trace. Knob Creek is owned by Beam Suntory. And Knob Creek has not been able to. Knob Creek won Best Bourbon at San Francisco World Spirits Competition, just 2015. So within our lifetime, and it has not been able to capitalize on that. And people like myself are always saying how great Knob Creek is, and Knob Creek, to me, is the most disrespected everyday product. I really think it's disrespected. I really do. And those single barrels that are out there deserve some love from people. So, yeah. This is my bourbon podcast. Perry, what's up? Says, that being said, the glass shortage has killed the ability to find Rare Breed. Look, the glass shortage has killed everything. Maker's 46 was rebranded because they ran out of that glass. So, but there's, Campari, Wild Turkey, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to have access to glass at some point, and I'm not too worried about Wild Turkey. I'd be more worried about smaller companies like Middle West. Okay, so I think that helped me. Thank you for those questions. So now I'm going to hop into this new product here. And this is a composite of of whiskeys from listen to this here. All right. So listen to all of these whiskeys that are in here. Let me pull up my little file. This is a composite of whiskeys from Barnstormer in Illinois, Great Lakes in Milwaukee, J. Henry in Dane, Wisconsin, Cavall in Chicago, Opidon, I hope I'm screwing that all up, Spirits in Wheeling, Illinois, Thornton Distillery in Thornton, Illinois, Whiskey Acres in DeKalb, Illinois, and Yahara in Fitchburg, Wisconsin. I mean, think about that for a second here, folks. You've got whiskeys from 2 states, all about the rivalry, and we all have rivalries, right? We all have rivalries that are connected to the state next to us. Now, this is my buddy Dave Sweet's whiskey, and he may get pissed at me if I don't like it, but he'll get over it, and I'll probably just have to buy him dinner or something like that. But I think it's really bold for someone to be an independent bottler and to do and to put that many whiskeys together. Because when you put those whiskeys together, those whiskeys bond. When you taste them the first time, they may be fine, but when you taste them again, they bond and they change. You just don't know. And I'm smelling it, and it smells like a. This smells right up the kind of whiskey I'd imagine that Dave Sweet would bottle. And if I could actually be candid with you for a moment and tell you the kind of conversation that Dave and I would have about what I smell in here, and I know right now he is sweating it, but I'm just going to tell you, it reminds me of some of the places I've been to in France. And Dave, I'll tell you offline later. I can't say that. I don't think I can say that publicly. But in all seriousness, this is kind of countryside. This is a little bit. It actually kind of noses very bright. And by bright, I mean it has a lot of perfumey smells to it. Definitely a lot of perfumey kind of smells from France. That's a good whiskey. Yeah, so it approaches. It's actually very interesting. It approaches the top of the palate, and works itself down. It's almost got like this. It's got like a dark chocolate to it, like a walnut. Yeah, this is good. I was actually nervous I wasn't gonna like this. My old buddy Dave did it right. It's a very good blend. It's buttery, it's chocolatey. On the nose, it's perfumey. I think that this is if you're into the craze of blends and non-traditional American whiskeys, this glass right here is good. This is good whiskey. And part of me wishes I didn't like it so I could fuck with Dave a little bit more. But unfortunately, I can't do that. It is on the nose, perfumey, chocolatey on the palate, some nuts on the palate, kind of like walnut, but excellent blending job there. I really like that. Now, you all have been with me for an hour. Thank you so much for being with me for an hour. And this is a live stream, of course. You know, people who come and watch it later will later complain like, well, it's an hour long, 2 hours long. But if they ain't here, they don't get it. So hopefully you're drinking at home along with me, and you've got something that you have been tasting. Now, if you are tasting along with me right now, what are you tasting? What have you been sipping on? Also, I'm just taking a look here at the like count. I it helps me. It goes a long way for the algorithm. Hit that like button and help me out here. Help me out here if you can hit that like button for me. I ain't gonna beg, but it does go a long way for helping people find my channel. And my channel's growing, and I've had to take a little time off here for some things other than my podcast from time to time. But these live streams, I've got some plans for them. I've got a big plan for them, and the plan is that soon I'm going to have a live studio audience. We'll do the live stream together in person, and people can watch it at home. I can't wait for that. I will have more details for you on that soon, but that will be a good time. And hopefully, I don't get beat up at it or something. But anyway, so we got some things in here that people are talking about that they have. Dr. One Pocket, which, Dr. One Pocket, that sounded like you're like some kind of sexual device creators, but it looks like you're having some tumbling rice. Hold on, I lost you there. Some tumbling dice. Tumbling dice. Yeah, that's a good whiskey. Hey, hello, Copper Bones in the house. Copper Bones. Bubba says, just got here. Did you already taste the Old Fitz? No, I have not. I have not tasted that yet. Matthew Bellner says, just had the Discovery Batch 7. That's exciting. I'm about to taste that next. Hank Williams Jr. says, Taters Tuesday. It's always a good day when it's Taters Tuesday. Clay Bush says, we are, LOL. And the Nashville Barrel Company 5-year for Gamer CS. I dig that. Chad Suhoff. Have to drink some newer Old Fitz 11-year while wishing to get the 17-year-old. I dig that. And by the way, Chad, did you know that the 11-year-old Fitz was one of the fastest growing bourbons on the Drizzly top 10 list? That shocked the hell out of me. And I think it might just be because of the price point, I think it might just be because of the price point, because they went off of revenue versus bottles sold. Whiskey Nose had some Jack Daniel's Minnick pick. All right. Yeah, that's a good one, right? Now, which proof did you have there, Whiskey Nose? I had two proofs. I had two picks. Let's see. The Gold Slingers got Kentucky Al Batch 9. Oh, that's old school right there. That's old school. All right, let's see if I missed a question here. Let's see if I missed a question. Okay, well, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof A122. A122. Oh, Clay Bush says that's the live studio audience. Well, I may have showed a hand a little too early there, but one day there, Clay. Jason Simone, Benchmark Full Proof. Don't sleep on it. I've had the Benchmark line, Jason, and that is the one that I don't think I have given attention to. I know that Sazerac rebranded and everything, so I'm gonna have to give that. I'll have to give that a look. I'll give that a look. I'll give that a retaste. Jason, you've been following this channel for a long time, and you know that I kind of was not the biggest fan of Benchmark, and so you putting that in the chat, due to your loyalty and all your support, I'm gonna give Benchmark another shot because Jason Simone said he's tasting that tonight. Let's see what else we got here. Rod Garzon is having some Bellamide sherry finish. I am all about the Bellamide sherry finish. May it rest in peace, because it will not be coming back. They discontinued that. Christopher M. hitting the Bowman Distillery in a couple weeks to kick off his vacation. That is some awesome news. Get some of that cash strength. You know, if you can get some of that cash strength there, I'll take a bottle. All right, so here we go. I think it's time for our next bottle to taste, and that's going to be Discovery Series 7. So, camera 2. So, look at that mash bill. You see that mash bill right there? And look at that art. That's a corn stocking, folks. Isn't that cool? Yeah, and then that's a UPC code and the general warning. You know, one of the things about the general warning, they're trying to get cancer put on there as well. So be mindful of that in the next couple years. Okay, so let's go to BBC. Okay, so this is a composite of several 12-year-old Kentucky bourbons, a 17-year-old Tennessee bourbon, and a 7-year-old Indiana bourbon. If you would like to see in detail what those are, the label has it on there. Take a look at this. I mentioned this before, folks, but this right here, when I wrote Bourbon Curious some time ago, this was my dream. My dream was that people would disclose what was in their whiskey. And today, Bardstown Bourbon Company and many others are disclosing that. And as someone who was disclosing for the distiller's behalf for a long time, it makes me very happy to see transparency in whiskey. We still have a long way to go. Not everyone's a part of it. But Bardstown Bourbon Company is doing one hell of a job being transparent. And that label on these bottles, it's everything that I hoped for, 10 years ago. So here we are now. Smelling it. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. That nose is a little pungent for me. This is so chestnuts they have a very particular smell, but not always good. Like over like cooked chestnuts stink. Like overcooked chestnuts are it's not like the Bing Crosby chestnuts roasting on an open. Nothing like that. I mean, it stinks. This smells like overcooked chestnuts. Burnt. Something else burnt. It smells burnt. It really does. And like a slight hint of sweetness. Not excited about that. Enthusiastic whiskey hobbyists, thank you for coming in. Cheers. On the palate, this does not feel balanced. It's there's a big banana note there. There's like a raw corn note, which the amount of age that's in this, I'm shocked to be tasting that level of raw corn. This is not a balanced whiskey at all. I find this actually to be. I find the Bardstown Bourbon Company Discovery Series 7 to be, discombobulated. There's some oak here. There's some tobacco there. There's some banana, but it's not like unison on the palate. It's really, it feels, the structure is not there. The structure is not there in this whiskey. And the nose, it is really, burnt chestnuts, maybe a burnt toast. It's not, it's not doing it for me. And it's a shame because I really like the Discovery from last year. But, I give my honest thoughts, give my honest opinion on it. And then I kind of like, I'm not a like everything guy. If you want to like everything guy, I'm not the guy for you. So this, it's not the worst thing I've tasted tonight, but I'm not a fan of the Bardstown Bourbon Company Batch 7 of Discovery Series. I have loved a lot of their other releases, though. So, they're doing good whiskey, and this one's just not for me. You should still taste for yourself. It's very, very important that you know that. Don't just listen to me. Taste for yourself. Your palate may love this whiskey. If you like banana, if you like chestnuts, if you like if you like hard candies that are kind of burnt, I think you'll like this. So, all right. So now I think is the headliner of the night. I'm gonna go to the Old Fitzgerald. Camera 2. Come on over here, camera 2. So when we look at something that is 17 years old, you are really looking at a whiskey. 2004, I was not in the industry. In 2004, I was in Iraq, just hoping to make it back alive, and that's when that was distilled. And my soon-to-be very good friend, now passed away, Parker Beam, distilled this. And Parker and his son Craig are really good distillers, but they have a formula for how they make whiskey at Heaven Hill, and they don't break from it. And one of the things about wheated bourbons is traditionally they go in the barrel at a lower entry proof. Heaven Hill products go in the barrel at 125 proof. So I'll be interested to see, how this fares for me, because I think it was like a 16-year-old or 19-year-old. One of the decanter series was older, and I didn't care for it. So, but before I jump into that, I would like to answer some questions. If you all have any questions about the history of any of these products or any American whiskey questions, please put them in there. I'm going to try and give my palate a really good rinse. And as a reminder, members, we do have a live stream coming up directly after this. So, members, you all have access as much as you want to me. So, Bourbon says, at $180, we need to know if this is worth the hunt. Well, I will do my best to give you an honest opinion on that. I will not shy from that one bit, for sure. Henry Turner says, I have an old Fitzgerald 12-year from the Stitzel Weller Distillery prior to them shutting down. Henry, call me. We'll drink that together. That's great whiskey. Kishner Wolf says, how do you think Larceny Barrel Proof compares to the old Fitz? I mean, I've been hit and miss with the Larceny Barrel Proof. I've been very honest about that over the years. And I think there's more misses with that. And I just, they tend to be over alcohol-y for me and over oaked. I'm not an alcohol guy. I'm not an oak guy. So just being candid. Whiskey Nose, Fred, do you think that the decanter of the old Fitzgerald bottle is the best bottle in the business? It sure is pretty. It sure is pretty. I mean, let's take a look at that real quick. Look at that. Ooh. I mean, that's pretty. I do love that bottle. I do. I love that bottle. It's pretty. But at the same time, I also know the amount of money and marketing that goes into creating a bottle like that versus the amount that it takes to create the whiskey. And the old curmudgeon in me is like, just put it in an ordinary bottle. But they tried that, and it didn't sell. Old Fitzgerald, for a long time, did not sell for Heaven Hill, and so that's why they had to rebrand it in this nice packaging. Yeah. So probably we'll see the same thing with JTS Brown and JW Dant over the years with Heaven Hill. That's a real prediction from me. Let's see. Eric says, party time. Ascots on the head tonight? There may be an ascot on the head, which if you are a member, you will know what a Phil Chiltered ascot on the head night is like. We're talking throwback pandemic. I also have word that that my wife might take care of the kids tomorrow. So that'd be great. Yeah. Jacqueline, if you're watching tonight, thank you so much for taking care of Julian and Oscar. You're the best wife ever. Big Dogger, what do you think about Knob Creek 15-year for $100 at my local liquor store? You know, that's not a bad $100 bill to spin. It's really not. I personally would buy that over probably 95% of the $200 bottles out there. I would buy that over Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year-old. I would buy it over Lot B 12-year-old, you know, to give you some ideas as to how much I think that would taste, how good that would taste for bang for the buck. Christopher, if you enjoy Catoctin Creek, you should check out the Tarnished Truth Distillery in Virginia Beach. I'll do that. I'll check them out. Yeah. Kishner Wolf, as far as wheated bourbons go, Buffalo Trace is hard to beat. You know, Kishner, you're not wrong there. But the OG in wheated bourbons is Maker's Mark. Maker's Mark was really, while Pappy Van Winkle had an ad series called A Whisper of Wheat in the 1940s and 50s with Weller. It was really Maker's Mark that established wheated bourbons being special, which I find it very ironic today that people look at Maker's Mark as kind of like this big scale, all about marketing distillery and whiskey. But they're all about volume there. It's true. They're all about volume and putting out really good whiskey at volume. But I'm like, why don't you put 12-year-old cask strength out? You would win every award ever in whiskey. But they don't do it. They don't do it. It kills me. Absolutely kills me. I can't say the name. It's like JEPST1. Hey, Fred, I believe the 17 is the oldest Old Fitz to date. Guessing you're thinking of the 16-year. I might be. I just got the 17-year. So good. Oh, JE's trying to fill my brain. JE's trying to fill my brain with his whiskey notes. Got to be careful there. I don't read other people's reviews. I don't listen to other people's reviews before I taste something. You know, I got to be very, very careful about that. I don't like people getting in my head when I'm doing that. So, by the way, Clay is in the chat saying that I love talking marketing. I hate marketing. Marketing is a bunch of BS drivel. So there you go, Clay. Here we go. Woo. Okay. Okay, so this nose is very deceiving. So one of the reasons why you want to swirl around, when you swirl something in a Glencairn glass or a similar glass, you really, when you are trying to have like a good aromatic experience and a trajectory on your palate, you want a glass that has a base that's bigger than the top. So what happens here is like you're forcing the whiskey, the aromatic properties to come up in a concentrated area. And if you smell it just like this, you smell a couple really nice, rich caramel notes. Swirled around a little bit, go side by side, and you pick up oak. So without swirling and just kind of going in, frontal first, nose first, it is oak. But it is caramel. But when you come into the nose, swirled around a little bit, come in side by side, you get oak, and you see some of the flaws in it. But yeah, that color, look at that color. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It absolutely is. But color alone does not make a whiskey. Ooh. Oh, Gamer CS21. I came across another pre-pro bottle. When you make it to DC, we'll crack open the old Lewis Hunter. Oh, old Lewis Hunter. That's a historic brand. And this mystery bottle. Tasting notes, unknown and likely never to be replicated. Now, I met Gamer CS at an event at Catoctin Creek, and what a night that was. We made some money for the USO. One of my favorite things in the world is to do some stuff for charities. Okay. So, if you ever are trying to smell or taste like a professional, or even just like hobbyists, you want to learn more. Learning how to taste is really learning about yourself, and your nostrils work differently. When you go side by side, you pick up different notes with each one nostril will work well one day, another one won't. But you will always pick up something. When you can isolate a nostril, you can find flaws a little better. You can dig deeper into the whiskey. And here, I get oak. I get oak in this Old Fitzgerald 17-year-old. But it's not bad. It's just, I get it. So if they probably waited another year, it might have been bad. So I'm going to put it on the palate now. But I would say just on the nose at the top, probably really caramel forward. Okay, that's good. Okay, no, that's not good. That's great. Holy shit. Wow. Wow. That is so friggin' good. I mean, I'm still feeling it on my palate. It's all mouth coating. It's like butter dripping on my tongue, coming in underneath my jawline, underneath my tongue. It's tickling the roof of my palate. And there's one note that I can really call out, and that is butterscotch. Butterscotch City all day long on this right here. This is wow. 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 Butterscotch bomb. I was really nervous on that nose. When I smelled that oak, I was like, oh, shit, this is going to be over oaked. I'm not going to like it. I'm so sensitive to oak, and on the palate, it is blossoming. It is butter. It is butterscotch. It's really nice. And we have taste buds in our throat, and we have taste buds in our belly. And so I can feel it kind of working itself down a little bit. And as it is working itself down, I feel a finish, like some flavors on the finish, be really prominent. And it's spice. And I don't experience a lot of spice with wheated bourbons, but I get a very pronounced, like, Mexican chocolate spice. And there's a particular type of Mexican chocolate from Oaxaca that is creamy. It is sweet, but they have pepper in it. And that pepper is often muted, but it's there. And I get this spice that is sweet at the same time. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's still finishing on my palate. It's still finishing on my palate right now. So what a great whiskey. I think without a doubt, this is going to be on my top 100. I would say it'll be hard for me not to keep tasting this, tonight and tomorrow and the next day at Easter. Which, by the way, I was originally going to be in Green Bay this weekend, and that got rescheduled. That happens sometimes when you do events. Things get rescheduled. And that was a little disappointing, but at the same time, I get to be with my kids on Easter and see my son's soccer game on Saturday. So today we went out shopping, and we have roast. I make a roast every year for Easter, and I wasn't very happy with the roast. But that was left. There was like one or two roasts left. And they were like, meh. But there were like nobody was getting these these strip roasts. It's basically a bunch of New York strips, just like in like a large cut. And I was like, putting my fingernail up to it, and this was something that was like labeled as USDA choice, and I was like, oh. The grader missed out on this. Back in the day, I wrote a book on beef, and you can tell like the measurement of marble by like putting up against your thumb and like seeing how many flakes of fat you see there. And I got a prime grade, my grade of prime. A prime grade of New York strip steak roast, and I am so excited to cook that. And I think that this whiskey is going to go marvelous with it. My wife is probably going to want something a little higher proof. She likes the cask strength. 100 proof. 100 proof's a little light for her. That's my wife. She's cool. Yeah, but that's splendid. But I normally do these blind, and I normally tell you my favorite. I'm gonna go ahead and taste the rest. Taste these another time to see if there's one that I think could challenge the old Fitzgerald. I want to taste the Dave's Sweet Rivalry one again. Yeah, I smelled it. It was very good, Dave, but you don't stand a chance against that. Kentucky Owl, nope. Bardstown Bourbon Company, nope. Company, it's good, but nope. I think the two ryes, the berry batch and and the Michters. And Michters could really, they could win in the right blind. No, it's without a doubt. Let there be no questions. The best whiskey of the night was indeed the old Fitzgerald 17-year-old bottled and bond. And what a marvelous, marvelous trajectory this one has. Oh, this is so good. So good. But hey, before I head over to the members only live stream, how about, you all throw some questions out there? Anybody have a question for me? Anybody want to make a comment? Whatever you all got, I'm happy to answer it. Well, I sip me some old Fitz. Yeah, so good. Christopher says, throwing some country ribs on the smoker Sunday. Woo, that sounds good. I like me some country ribs. I could go for that. Vicious Victor T with the negative attitude. Old Fit 17, a bottle I'll never own. Hey, next time I see you, Vicious Victor T, I'll give you a sample. How's that? Will that work? As long as hopefully I won't drink it all. But Wicked Mike, how did you grade the Old Forester 11 year and 13 year? Talking about the birthday bourbons. I think they like ranked very highly in my top 10. Yeah, I mean they made the top 10. 100% pure mustard, which I have not seen in a while. Good to see you, Pure Mustard. I heard Redwood Empire is releasing cask strength versions of their core lineup. Ooh, that sounds good. I am not privy to that information, but that would be right in line with the world we live in. JEPST1, what's my opinion on other distilleries doing their own antique collection? I think that's the way to go. I think that is the way to go. I really do think that people should do their own kind of antique collection. It is hard. It's hard for people to create that kind of lineup that Sazerac has done. But Beam Suntory could do it. Beam Suntory could create something equivalent to the antique collection and crush Sazerac. They have Maker's Mark. They have the Booker No Distillery. They have the Claremont Beam Distillery. I mean, Beam Suntory could win that conversation all day long. And I think coming soon, Pernod Ricard is, they've been making good acquisitions. I think that's another one that could do it. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there for sure. Knob Creek 15 year from Baba Bourbon, 120 proof. Big fan. Okay, so let's see if we have any other questions here before I go to the members only. Jeff Perkins, any plans for a tasting event in the Bay Area of San Francisco? Well, Jeff, I was just there judging the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. I didn't do anything public, but yeah, I love that area. Absolutely. Robert D., what kind of cocktails are you drinking these days? Robert, don't hate me, but, I'm not the biggest cocktail fan. When I drink bourbon cocktails, I like the Manhattan or the Brown Derby, but when it comes to cocktails, I'm a rum guy. You know, I'm a big rum guy. I love rum. And that's what I prefer when it comes to cocktails. Not necessarily bourbon. I like to drink bourbon neat. And I'm not going to apologize for that. Eric says, I have, Eric, you're a member. Hold that for the members discussion. Copper Bones says, hold on here. What does Copper Bones say? Where'd you go, Copper? How many ounces of vodka should I use to sanitize my hands? That is a fantastic question, Copper. However, that is an FDA-regulated question that I am not permitted or allowed to talk about. That being said, my slogan is not FDA approved, and I thereby recuse myself from ever giving actual medical advice on this channel. All right, Eric, you did. I'll answer your question after all. I have seen a lot of talk about warehouses, locations, and floors. Is there a future of bourbon bottle variations? Yeah, I mean, Campari's doing one now. I think so. I mean, we're never going to understand the flavors of whiskey if we don't go deeper into the dissection of how it's made. And that's how I look at it. And if you don't drop into how do the flavors get there, we'll never come out on the other side and truly understand how Wild Turkey or Buffalo Trace taste like they do. We'll never understand. Instead, it'll just be people like peddling marketing, Talking about floor spaces is not marketing. That's understanding, education, versus, wow, my grandpappy, brought this yeast over in his toes. All right, members, head on over to the community, and we are going to get up into some questions and hanging out tonight. Vicious Victor T, do members only get you a jacket when you join? I have no idea what that means. Do you only get a jacket? Like, man, I'm not the masters, but you get something cool. You get some some cool ass shit. You get some stuff. You get like little, man, I don't know. You get like these little emojis, and you get special live streams and stuff. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, Brendan, I will send out a link. Don't worry. But Vicious Victor T is all about getting in there. But thank you all so much for joining tonight. It was great hanging out. We are Peter B saying it's a play on the Masters. I get it. I was slow, but I went to Oklahoma State. I didn't go to Harvard. But thank you all so much for joining tonight. Here we are, an hour and 38 minutes into it. I'm excited to hang out with my members. It's been a while since we did one of these, a little Phil Chilterd action. And I am excited to see you all. I'll see you on the member side. If you'd like to become a member, click the join button. Most of you all are already subscribers. It's just the next level up, and all we're doing is like hanging out. I post information and hopefully more stuff soon. But thank you all so much. I'll be answering more questions in the member community. So cheers, y'all. See you soon.